When you say Clydesdale, a lot of people think of the Budweiser horses. But I'm in Buchanan, Tennessee, home of Henry County's Black Clydesdales. Welcome to Lodestar Farm with its unique black fences and barns and the beautiful Black Clydesdales, lovingly pampered by Meredith and Jim Voida.
Well, we decided to raise the Black Clydesdales just because we thought that they were very unusual looking and sort of regal. We had never seen a Black Clydesdale until we were on vacation in eastern Oregon, and we saw a herd of about 20 black ones. We were familiar with the bays, but not the blacks. And they just struck us as being so absolutely majestic, just gorgeous. And funny thing, we had been thinking about getting into mini horses. So when we saw the Black Clydesdales, we knew that this was something we had to do, and so we went from minis to giants. The Clydesdale breed was developed during the Middle Ages. The knights and soldiers needed a heavy horse, a horse with bigger bone, to carry the armor and the artillery that they were using. Artillery, I guess it was just shields and spears, but and so they were breeding for just a bigger, heavier horse, and from that the Clydesdale was developed over the years, and primarily in Scotland. That's the area that sort of refined the breed. And the feather on the legs was developed over the years to keep the Clydesdales' legs warm while they worked the soil. It's damp and cold most of the time in Scotland. So that was the idea behind the feather. And then, of course, the size meant that they were great for farm work and logging and things like that.
Lodestar is home to other horses as well, and riders of all ages hone their skills in the round pen, pastures, and arena.
We've got Clydesdales and thoroughbreds out here, Morgans and Gypsy Vanners and Gypsy Drums. There's just a very large variety of what you can discover out here as far as the horses are concerned. So the object of the game is to keep your rock in your spoon, or in your ladle if you got lucky. So I'm going to give you commands. You're going to go around the rail, or I might tell you to jump over something.
No.
Jessica is a graduate student at Murray State University and has spent the past year teaching at Lodestar.
Oh my gosh, it's a dream. The farm is beautiful. The horses are so much fun to work with, and the kids really enjoy it. So it's fun to work with kids that are having such a great time.
We offer riding lessons, we offer boarding, we'll do training. We do one-day workshops for people, beginners or more experienced people, either way. And we also offer summer horse camps.
You can see that when you see some of these kids really get used to their horses. They'll jump some of these enormous jumps, and horse and rider are working together, and they trust their horse and the horse trusts them. It's very neat to see.
Well, the kids are here for 5 days. On the day camp, they come and go each day, but we're doing overnight camps also where they stay for the whole week. But they would start out in the morning by helping us with chores, feeding the horses and turning them out. And while they would not clean all the barns, they would certainly get a taste of what stall cleaning is like. I think if anybody thinks they want to own a horse, they have to know the bad with the good. So they get to clean a stall or two, and then we introduce them to the horses. We start off with grooming and how to be safe around a horse. We talk a little bit about horse anatomy and horse health, what they eat, how to keep a horse, pasture versus stall, whether or not they should have a paddock, etc. We teach people how to lead a horse safely, how to pass through a gate so that the horse isn't going to run you down. And then we get into round pen exercises. We show people that if they can't control the horse's movements while they're on the ground with it, they certainly are not going to be able to control it when they're on the horse's back.
Jim and Meredith came to West Tennessee 2 years ago and turned what was once a cattle ranch into Lodestar.
And we wanted a piece of property that was large enough to give us space for all of our Clydesdales. We had about 10 at that time. And we wanted to open a breeding facility, a boarding facility, also do some lessons and some training. And we wanted to be in the Midwest. My husband has relatives in the Midwest. So we started looking in Illinois and Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and we made 3 trips here. We found this place on the internet and decided that size-wise it was perfect for us. It had been a cattle farm, but it did need some modifications to be a horse facility. But we liked the area, we liked the climate, we certainly liked the farm and what it offered for possibilities. So we decided this was where we needed to be. Lodestar has 2 different meanings. Lodestar can be sort of a guiding principle, or it can also be a goal to work toward. And one of our goals, my husband's and mine in our breeding program, is to breed big, healthy Clydesdales that have big feet. The big foot was something we really, really wanted. And so far we're still working toward that, but I think every Clydesdale breeder is.
The farm strives to be self-sufficient and use green techniques that lower the use of pesticides and other chemicals. With 280 pounds of manure each day, Jim is experimenting with worms.
If you look at that, it's just about all potting soil. They've eaten it, they've pushed it through their system, and what comes out is potting soil. And now they're working on this. And there's 5 pounds of worms, and I don't know what a worm weighs, but there's an awful lot of worms in there. Anyway, so what's happening is they're now eating this, and you've got a few in the bottom still doing whatever. They've moved up to this tub, they're attacking that, and there's a few of them that for whatever reason have moved on up into here. And when we get more up into here, then I'll put food into here. And at that point, you take the bottom tub out and do whatever you want with it.
But it's all about the horses, particularly the black Clydesdales. Jim and Meredith began with one horse. Now they have 13. In May of 2009, Princess Phoenix, Nix for short, was born.
The animals are beautiful. I mean, if you see a Clydesdale, usually you're lucky enough to see maybe 1 or 2, but to see a whole herd of 10 is pretty amazing. They really are impressive when you see them all together. They're very curious. They want to know what's going on. If they see something that's unusual they haven't seen before, or somebody they haven't seen before, they'll come to the fence. They want to know what's going on too.
They're definitely gentle giants. They're willing to try everything. As you can see behind us, we've got them jumping over things. There's one in a western saddle. They're just very willing to please.
The Budweiser Clydesdales are the bay Clydesdales. The bay is the dominant gene. And it seems as though breeders and Clydesdale owners specialize in one or the other, bays or blacks. And while the bays are certainly beautiful, we decided to go with the blacks. The black is a recessive gene. It's not quite as common as the bays. It can be a little bit more difficult to breed for a black. But the Budweiser Clydesdales are also used for the hitches. And hitching is one thing that we don't do. We have a couple that are trained to drive a cart, to pull a cart, a single, and I have driven a couple of them, one in competition and won a few ribbons. But we're not interested in hitching, so we developed other uses for them, primarily riding. We think that people should think of them as a perfect family horse, perfect trail horse. Their disposition is so calm. They're so intelligent. They make a really good horse for someone who's perhaps a little bit older, maybe not quite as physically agile as they were when they were younger. These horses are not apt to buck them off. They're not apt to spook and run off with them. I just find them to be very dependable. And this horse here, Kira, is the one that we use to start all of our riding students on, whether they have experience or not. She's so reliable that she's the one that we put them on first of all. It's as comfortable as sitting on your living room sofa too. They're very wide for the most part, so you have a little bit more underneath you. You don't have to feel like you're wobbling off one side or the other. And yes, you are high off the ground. Now Kira's not particularly tall. She's only about 16 hands 2 inches. We do have one that is, we have a couple that are over 18 hands. So with those you do feel like you're up there in the stratosphere.
Lodestar Farm has open barn on Saturday afternoons from 1 to 3. Everyone is invited to visit the farm and enjoy the horses.
I think that more people should be involved with horses. I find them to be almost therapeutic. You know, a dog is great, that's a companion, but a horse is something different. You know, you can enjoy the horse on so many different levels. Even if you don't have time to ride, just, you know, go into a stall and groom a horse. It's very calming and very peaceful. The horse likes it, and it's good for people too, I think. And my husband tells me he read that horseback riding is the only art that you can learn. Everything else you have to have a natural talent for. But you don't really have to have a talent for horseback riding. You can be taught to ride. And while you may never make the Olympic team, you can certainly be taught and learn well enough so you can enjoy trail rides, for instance, or just wandering around a pasture on the back of a horse.